So I'm a native New Yorker, number one. Began in the finance industry, came through the analyst programs at Bankers Trust, then ultimately became a controller over at J.P. Morgan. In the process, a lot of what we did, in addition to the line of business functions, were build products. So subsequently, we then launched a unit called Lab Morgan. That was an innovation unit within the bigger bank. What was interesting about that is that occurred before the year 2000. So this was late 90s, and they were well ahead of its time. Nowadays, the term an incubation unit or an incubator is commonplace. But that back in the late 90s was a very new thing. So that was the heady days leading up to the dot-com revolution, helped to launch Riskmetrics and a payment provider that was subsequently sold to Bank One. Fast forward, I became at IBM. I joined the firm within the capital markets unit, where we cater to many of the large banks, capital markets firms, and other types of international firms that have a presence here in the local Northeast area. What we then did is essentially, after the consulting business dried up, we then joined, I joined the sales and distribution arm of IBM to then cover accounts in a very more holistic way. So basically selling and finding solutions using the wide swath of products. And IBM has pretty much a myriad of products under its roof. Hardware, software, and services. But my heart was always in fintech, okay? So from an innovation standpoint, 4 years ago I moved to the Massachusetts environment here. I live in Kendall Square. The most interesting thing that I've discovered here in Kendall Square is that I think that I see a very large number of really, really smart people, which is no surprise given you're dealing with MIT and Harvard. Very motivated people, very entrepreneurial climate. And I think that they really are not just manifold, not just complex, and not only do they cross a number of different verticals, there's densities within, I would say, heavily life sciences, healthcare, and the like, and obviously pharmaceutical, it's part of that. And then fintech, I would say, is a good portion of that. But by and large, what I've discovered, talking and being a part of this climate, is I've discovered that many of the firms, and this is very controversial what I'm about to say, they know product, they build very good product, they build very good tactical teams, and they do a great job, right, of essentially bringing together a minimum viable product or a firm in a very rapid way. Smart people, good product is outputted. If I compare and contrast that with my New York heritage, right? What we were there is we were sitting on large stockpiles of cash, large investment funds that had a little tricky or difficulty finding its way to good companies. And so essentially, I would say here in Kendall Square, we have great investment theses. There in New York, we have a good number of the proceeds or the funds that are or should be invested within or with good companies. It's just that simple. Essentially, if I talk to on any average day 4 or 5 startups, I'd say 4 out of 5 of them do not have more cash on the balance sheet to sustain more than a year of operations. And many of the founders, they don't get that they've got to engage in their Series A or additional financing a year before, 2 years before they need these funds. So that's the kind of, I wouldn't say misunderstanding. I think part of that is they're so headstrong and so focused on developing their product to the violation or to the leaving common sense. They're going to hit the wall in about a year, and by then they're going to have to either sell their product for a very small or exit the company for a pittance of what it's really worth. So that's basically what I think. Yeah, so the upshot, what I'm saying, Neil, is these real great practitioners, these great builders of companies and products, I'm not criticizing the product. Many times they are aligned to a market need. But what I am saying is they need to engage sooner than later with the capital markets. They need to get their finance needs out there in a much more rapid fashion. They need to get industry professionals such as myself or other colleagues who have run this before, who have launched firms and exited them successfully. You refine your pitch, you meet the right people, you meet the right partners, right? Not just, and some of it is really, it could be self-serving, it could be really revenue-centered, it could be customers. But by kicking the tires, by getting out there, the compendium dual need of your capitals, finance needs, coupled with taking and debuting your product, making sure it gets out there sooner than later to the market so you can iterate it and do a much better job of aligning that, right? Or, the term that's very vogue nowadays is pivot it accordingly, right? Be it the product or the company, functionality or what have you. You take advantage, I think, of that competitive window much more effectively. And not only that, you're operating from a position of strength if you have capital reserves.